Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, you're in the right place for gripping stories from the dark corners of world history. Tales of crime, power, and the people who helped shape the underworld from the shadows. So today, we're delving into a life of a man who ruled London's criminal underworld long before the craze ever made the headlines. He was sharp, he was calculating, and he was ruthless when he had to be. And what was his name? Well, his name was Billy Hill, once simply known as the King of Soho. Billy Hill, the King of Soho, the gentleman gangster who built an empire. From the streets of London rose a man who had become one of the most formidable and influential figures in British organised crime. His name was Billy Hill, criminal mastermind, smooth operator and self-proclaimed boss of Britain's underworld, also simply known as the King of Soho. Hill ruled the London underworld with intelligence, calculation, and a just enough menace to maintain an empire that spanned decades. His name both commanded fear and respect from the criminal elite right down to New Scotland Yard. Born on December 13, 1911 in the Seven Dials area of Covent Garden, Billy Hill came into the world of poverty and hardship. His mother, Amelia Jane Hill, Spalding, was a struggling Irish woman trying to keep a large family afloat in one of the toughest streets in London. Crime wasn't just a temptation in the Hill household, it was a way of life. Billy was one of 16 children. Many of them would dabble in crime, but none would rise as high as he did. By the age of 14, Billy had already committed one of his first stabbings. 16, he was a full-time burglar. His early years were a patchwork of smash and grab raids, petty thefts, and stints in borstals and prisons. These formative experiences did not reform him, they honed him in. He made his skills. In and out of prison in the 1920s and 30s, Hill wasn't wasting time. He was learning. He built a network, refined his tactics, and began carving out a reputation. The criminal underworld in London was evolving, and Hill was always a step ahead. By the mid-1930s, Hill had focused his attention from petty crime to high-value targets, known as blagging or coshing. Hill specialised in robbery, fast, violent and lucrative. He and his gang would hit high-end jewellers, furrowers and department stores, executing smash and grab raids that were fast and later becoming his trademark. These weren't small-time heists. Hill and his crew made headlines, and their activities were discussed in the House of Commons. But Hill's true genius came during the Second World War. While the country was focused on survival, Hill saw an opportunity. The war created a chaotic economy, rationing and curfews and shortages. But Hill, he exploited all of it. He had moved stolen petrol and food through the black market. He supplied forged documents to servicemen who had deserted. He hijacked lorries, looted post office safes, and established himself as a man who could get hold of anything for a price. His criminal enterprise was now known as the Heavy Mob. By 1940, Hill estimated in his autobiography that he was making £300 a week, which is the equivalent to nearly £20,000 today. The war just wasn't a battlefield overseas. For Hill, it was a business boom. He scoffed at the idea of patriotism, remarking while working class lads were being conscripted and killed, the upper classes dodged the front line with ease. In July 1947, Hill made his most ambitious move. He flooded London with his men in what he called the Night of the Long Knives. By dawn, he had seized control of much of the city's underworld, while his rival Jack Spot Comer started to lose ground in the East End. Hill stepped in, took over protection rackets, gambling clubs, and brothels across the West End. He wasn't just another gangster, he was now the man everybody had to deal with. Hill's uneasy alliance with Jack Spot didn't last. Spot, a bruiser well known for his muscle and violence, was being slowly outmaneuvered by Hill's more cerebral and organised approach. The rivalry became legendary, while Spot's influence began to crumble with a failed £1.25 million robbery at London Airport in 1948. Hill moved in for the kill. By 1956, Spot and his wife Rita were brutally attacked by Hill's enforcers, including notorious Mad Frankie Fraser. But Hill wasn't content with violence alone. He wanted sophistication, respectability, even fame. In 1952, he masterminded the East Castle Street robbery, one of the most audacious heists in British history. His crew, using intelligence gathered from a gambling-addicted post office insider, intercepted a van carrying just under £300,000 worth of cash. In today's money, that would have been close to $9 million. With 2 getaway cars and a plan executed with military precision, the gang vanished without a trace. Hill and his partner, Jip Riley, were later seen at the Dorchester Hotel the following night. They were there counting the money on the suite floor, sipping champagne. Jip, whose real name was Gypsy Phyllis Blanche Riley, was more than a lover. She was his equal. Born in a rough East End life herself, she met Hill while working at one of his clubs. By 1951, they were inseparable. She ran operations with him, even driving one of the getaway cars in the East Castle job. Later, Hill would buy her the biggest nightclub in Tangier, where she ruled the scene with a pet chimpanzee by her side. Together, they formed one of the most iconic criminal couples in British history. After East Castle Street, Hill struck again, this time robbing £45,000 worth of bullion from the KLM offices in Holborn, London. Scotland Yard went into overdrive. The flying squad doubled its manpower. The pressure mounted in 1956. The Home Secretary authorised phone tapping of Hill's line, the first time such surveillance had been approved for a British gangster. Even though the tapes never convicted Hill, they exposed his barrister's corruption and triggered a national scandal. Debates raged in Parliament. Barbara Castle, a Labour MP at the time, accused the government of inflating phone charges to cover the cost of the tapping. Publicly, Hill presented himself as an underworld aristocrat. He wore expensive suits from Savile Row and expensive jewellery hats. He mingled with aristocrats and bookmakers, even wrote a best-selling autobiography, Boss of Britain's Underworld, and this was ghost-written by journalist Duncan Webbett. In it, Hill famously described his methods of chiving enemies, and this is done by carving a V for victory into their faces. But he claimed he always cut downwards, never across, and this was done to avoid hitting arteries. He said only mugs do murder. Chiving is chiving. As the 1960s dawned, Hill turned to more refined criminal enterprises. He partnered with casino owner John Aspel and associate Bobby McHugh to scam London's elite at the Claremont Club in Mayfair. Their con, dubbed the Big Edge, involved subtly marking and bending cars to identify their values. Some of the wealthiest men in Britain, including earls and businessmen, lost millions. Hill's card sharks blended into high society of tuxedos and charm, while quietly fleecing the rich. But Hill saw the writing on the wall. He had groomed two ambitious newcomers. These ambitious newcomers were Ronnie and Reggie Cray. He mentored them, guided them, even eventually promised them his empire. Reggie Cray would later say, "He stands alone, and there'll never be another Billy Hill." Hill recognised that the Craze, with their hunger for fame and brutality, were the future. He stepped aside. He retreated to Tangier, then Spain, then eventually the French Riviera, becoming one of the first British criminals to relocate to what would now become known as the Costa del Crime. There, he mixed with the celebrities like Diana Dawes and Pablo Picasso. Hill's personal life remained as complex as his criminal one. Even though once married to Aggie Kirkwood, he fathered a son, Justin, with a dancer named Diana Harris. After Harris's suicide, Hill and Jip raised Justin themselves. Despite Billy's violent reputation, Justin remembered his father as a fun and generous and fun-loving, but also terrifying at times. He recalled being shaken by his hair in a rage and once being locked in a pitch-black garage as a punishment. Billy often slept with a revolver under his pillow and once handed it to Justin as a child to inspect. Yet, Justin never strayed into crime, crediting both Billy and Jip for keeping him on the straight path. In 1984, Billy Hill died at the age of 72. He left behind no prison legacy, no public downfall, no final gunfight. He simply disappeared into a quiet wealth, living out his days surrounded by the spoils of a lifetime of organised crime. Hill didn't just survive the criminal world, he shaped it, he modernised it. He showed that brains could be beat brawn, and that charm, when used correctly, could be more dangerous than any weapon. In an age where today's gangsters hide in the shadows, Billy was the man who built an empire, walked away. Now, if you like this type of content, where you step into a world where history and true crime collide, we uncover the stories, we uncover the people, and we cover the places behind some of the most gripping moments from the past. We use cutting-edge AI-generated visuals, and we try to breathe new life into these forgotten chapters, giving them a bold, modern twist that you probably won't find anywhere else. So if you love your history with a fresh edge, please hit the subscribe button and join us on this journey through time. I thank you all for listening, and you all yourself have a good day. Good night. Bye.